Huge congratulations to all of the teachers that have been able to secure QTS and have met the requirement that TRA was looking for. The next step in your registration is to go ahead to find a job. You can do so by two ways. One, you can either do it yourself by sending out your CV to a number of schools, and if they are happy with what they see on your CV, they'll arrange for you to have an interview and then they'll give you a job offer. If you are happy with the job offer, you go ahead to accept it and then you start your relocation process. Number two is for you to apply to teaching agencies. Now these teaching agencies are going to circulate your CV to a number of schools looking for exactly what you have on your CV, and you are going to have to interview with these schools and then make a choice based on what offer a particular school is offering you. So mind you, before you accept any job offer, you need to make sure that your potential employer is recognized by the UK government as a licensed sponsor. Okay, they are able to give you a certificate of sponsorship, because you need that certificate of sponsorship to be able to apply for your visa. This certificate of sponsorship has details, and these are the name of the employer, the job title and code of the job they are going to do, where it is going to be, the salary you are going to be receiving. It has a lot of details that you will need in applying for the visa. So you can't apply visa if you don't have a job offer, and you need a job offer to get a certificate of sponsorship. So the visa that you're going to be applying for is the tier 2 visa, what we call the skilled worker visa. And here are a list of documents that you will be needing. Number one, you need your certificate of sponsorship. Okay, this has nothing to do with you. It's going to come from your potential employer. They're going to give you this certificate, and like I mentioned, it has details that you need to fill your visa application. Number two is your passport. You're going to need a valid travel passport, and it should have 3 pages in there so that you can stamp and stick your visa to the UK in. Document 3 is proof of English language. They need to know that you understand and can speak good English, and to show for that, you have to pass an approved English language test exam such as IELTS. Okay, but if you don't have an IELTS certificate, another option is for you to have your documents compared to that of UK if your education or your qualification was taught in English. Okay, in this case, what are we talking about? Your certificate of comparability. So you did not need your certificate of comparability in applying for QTS. However, you may need it in applying for a visa. So if you haven't already applied, start applying now, especially as you are now starting to look for a job. Before I proceed, let me quickly put it out there that I have the following services available. If you've been scheduled for an interview but you don't know how to prepare, I have this service where I can have a mock interview with you and help you prepare, give you tailored answers, okay, for you to pass that interview. Or if you want someone to write a CV for you, personal statement, and all of those interesting things, look beneath in the comment section. The next document that you're going to be needing is a TB test. If you're coming from a country that has TB or is TB prevalent, you need to prove that you don't have TB when you're entering the UK. So you have to have a chest x-ray done, and this chest x-ray cannot just be done in any clinic or in any hospital. It must be done at UK government approved centers. And coming from Ghana, I know that there's one center in Accra, and you have to book appointment ahead. So check in your country, okay, for UK approved TB test centers, and then book ahead to have it done. One advice I'll give you is that this certificate doesn't last forever. It takes a couple of months to expire. I think about 3 or 6 months to expire. Okay, so don't do it immediately you are searching for a job, or because you have to book appointment you are doing it now. Wait until you get your job offer and then book for your TB appointment. Another document that you'll be needing is called the police clearance certificate. Depending on the number of countries that you've lived in and your age, whether or not you're above or below 28, and whether or not you've lived in that country for over a year, you may have to provide more than one police clearance certificate. They may need you to provide certificates from the countries that you've lived in and the one that you are currently living in. In Ghana, I know that you have to go to the police headquarters in Accra, fill out a form, take passport size pictures, pay a fee, and it will be done for you. But if you cannot go to Accra, you can visit your local police headquarters and then pay extra, because they may have to post your documents and your pictures to Accra, have it done and sent back to you, so you pay a little extra. So after you've gathered all of these important documents, the next important thing is to now go ahead to start your visa application. Make sure that when you're filling the visa application, you open your eyes and triple check your answers. Don't misspell your name, don't rearrange it wrongly, don't write a wrong number, because what happens is that it will make your visa application invalid. They may reject it because of wrong information. It will be like you are deceiving them. So triple check your answers before you send them. Arrange your name like how it appears in your documents and your traveling passport. Another thing you have to take note is that if for one reason you made a mistake in your visa application, you can cancel the visa, and then if they haven't already started working on your visa, your money will be refunded to you, and then you can begin the visa application process again. So during this visa application, you're going to have to select a day when you want your biometrics to be taken. Someone will be wondering, what is this biometrics? This skilled worker visa or the tier 2 visa does not require you to have an interview. The only time that they are going to call you to have an interview if there is something wrong with your visa and they feel like they need to interview you more, to ask you more questions. Otherwise, you just have to do a biometrics. And what this biometrics is about is you go and they take a picture of you and then take your fingerprints. With these details, they'll produce a card called the Biometric Residence Permit or BRP. This card is very important when you come into the UK. It shows that you have legal rights to live in the UK. You can use this card to travel outside of the UK and come back to the UK. Mind you, this is not the permanent residence permit. It is only for the 3 years or the 5 years that you need to live in the UK for in order for you to apply for a permanent residence permit. So you have correctly filled your visa application and you've selected a day when you want to have your biometrics done. The next thing is for you to go ahead and pay your visa fee. Now over here there are options. If you want your application to be fast tracked, you have to pay more, and I think there's a regular service, so choose the one you want and go ahead and make your payment. You are most likely going to use a credit or debit card. Another thing worth noting is that visa applications can be done up to 3 months before your start date. And how would you know when your start date is? It will be on the certificate of sponsorship. That is why I would advise you that do not quit your current job. Do not stop working where you're working now just because you got a job offer. Wait until you get the certificate of sponsorship before you can quit or give notice, okay? Because once you get the certificate of sponsorship, your one leg is already in the UK. You may be wondering how long before you get your answer. It takes at least 3 weeks for you to get your answer about your visa application. And mind you, don't get afraid or don't be scared when they don't give you back your passport, because they need the passport to stamp your visa in. So during the biometrics, you go with your passport, but you don't come back with your passport. There is an option where you can let them post your passport back to you, but I'll always advise that go back there and collect the passport yourself. But if for instance you live far away from the center, you can apply and pay for them to post your passport back to you. Now let's go to the part that everyone is ever so curious about, which is the amount of money you're going to be spending on the whole application. First and foremost, let me put it out there that certain sponsors are happy to take care of these costs for you. You do not even have to prove the evidence of funds in your account. They're happy to take care of everything, including your flight ticket. All you have to do is on the day of your flight, you go to the airport and pop, you are going to the UK. However, there are certain sponsors that will ask you to pay for these things, and then when you come to the UK, they would refund them to you. So in that case, here are a list of the monies that you're going to be spending. First and foremost is your visa application fee. If you're applying from outside of the UK, it's going to be about £625 upwards, and this money depends on your circumstance. Is your job on the shortage occupation list? Are you coming alone, or are you applying for you, yourself, and your family or your dependents? Okay, that is going to determine how much you're going to pay. If your job is on the shortage occupation list, that amount is going to drastically reduce to about £479, okay, for 3 years. And if you're going to be in the UK for more than 3 years, it is going to be about £943 for about 3 years. Okay, so that is for the application fee. The next cost you're going to be paying is called the health surcharge, and that one is £624 per year. So if the contract that your employer gives you is for 3 years, it will be 624 times 3. If they give you a 5-year contract, it will be 624 times 5. You'll be wondering, why do I need to pay this health surcharge? So that when you come to the UK, you can use the health services for free. So after the health surcharge, the next thing you have to be looking at is money in your account, because you have to prove your funds. You have to prove that when you come to the UK, you can take care of yourself, and the amount of money they are looking for is about £1,270, and this money must have been in your account for at least 28 days. So it's not now that you're applying for visa that you rush and collect people's money and put in your account to prove for funds. So you need to have that money in your account for at least 28 days. Lastly, another cost that you incur is your flight ticket. Okay, you would have to buy your flight ticket yourself, and if you're coming with your family, you have to include them as well and calculate how much money you will spend on the flight. And also, if it's a direct flight, it's more expensive than connecting flights. Direct flights are less hours, easy from Ghana or from your country straight to the UK, but connecting flights, you have to stop in a different country, change flight, and take another one to UK. And also take note that sometimes these countries that they are connecting you to the UK in, sometimes you would need visa for that country as well. So always be careful when you are booking flights to the UK. Now let's look at the limitations that come with this visa. It's not everything you can do on this visa. There are certain things that you cannot do when you are on this visa. First and foremost, you cannot use the same visa to work for a different employer. So let's say, for instance, employer A brought you from your country to the UK, and for one reason or another you change your mind, you no longer want to work for them. So what do? You apply for a new job and get a job offer. You cannot remain on the same visa using that to work for employer B. You need to apply for a new visa, go through the whole process in order for you to work for employer B. Another thing you need to take note is that with this visa, you can't access public funds, free public funds that the government has put in place for British citizens. You can't use them. If you use them, it will affect you when you are finally ready to apply for permanent leave to remain. Another limitation that comes with this visa is that you must remain within the occupation code that your profession falls under. For instance, teaching is on the shortage occupation list, which means that teaching has its occupation code. So when you come into the country as a teacher, you cannot suddenly get another job in train driving, for instance, because train driving is not on the shortage occupation list. So your employer will bring you to the country and say in your contract that, for instance, you are supposed to work 37.5 hours a week. So if you do that 37.5 hours a week, you have satisfied your contract. However, you may want more money, so you may take extra job somewhere with another school, but it must be within teaching. It must not be a different job that is outside your occupation code. We've looked at the limitations to this visa. Now let's look at the positive aspects of this visa. First and foremost, you can travel outside of the UK and return to the UK. Yes, the fact that you are on this visa does not mean when you get to the UK you cannot travel outside. You can go to Spain, you can go to France, you can go back to your home country and come back. You can travel anywhere as long as you can afford, and as long as you meet that country's entry requirement. You can travel to that country and then return to the UK. Another positive aspect is that once you are here for at least 5 years and you have documents and you are eligible, you can apply for indefinite leave to remain, okay, where you can have permanent residency in the UK. Also, with this visa, you can bring all of your dependents, you can bring your children, you can bring your wife, you can invite someone to visit you in the UK. So it is also good in that regard. All right guys, so that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope I've been detailed enough, but if you still got questions, click below to join my Telegram page and ask me in my Telegram groups, and I'll leave all important resources in the description box. So look beneath there and get important contacts and ask and send them emails to inquire about anything that you don't understand. Thank you so very much for watching. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and join the family, and don't forget to ring the notification bell. My name is Mhercie, and I'll see you in my next video. I don't
take it back your heart. I still spin inside your orbit.